Action.
So, hi everyone. So, welcome to today's workshop with Moledao. Joining us today are Kristen and Sharon from Grid Search. Grid Search is a recruiting agency which specializes in crypto-related careers. So today they'll be doing an AMA about any questions you have regarding recruiting in the crypto industry. And we'll start the Q&A section with some of the questions that people submitted before this live stream, and then we'll follow that up with a CV review session as well, like with some of the CVs that were submitted, and finally we'll end off with a final Q&A section for those who submit questions right now during the course of the event. So welcome today, Kristen and Sharon. Yeah, we can start off can you start with introducing yourselves, and then we'll go through some of the questions.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Alvin. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Kristen Lim. I'm working at Grid Search at the moment. We are a technology, or rather a technology recruitment solution company. So we do have a wide range of services providing to the candidates, primarily in the digital and tech talents in Asia. One of the verticals, or rather one of the business that I'm leading at the moment, is for blockchain, crypto, and Web3, where Sharon and I, we work very closely alongside most of our clients, hiring for talents in this space.
Yeah. So, just to add on for Kristen, I'm Sharon. So I think I work with Kristen very closely in terms of the crypto and blockchain space. So I cover more on the technology hires, while she covers the rest of the non-tech stuff. Yeah, so looking forward to see how we can support all these developers today. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kristen and Sharon. So let's go right ahead with the Q&A, section. We will, starting off, I sent you a list of the questions, Kristen. So let's start with the first one. What are the skill sets that companies are looking out for? So like, for example, is it Solidity and Rust for smart contracts and React for front end? So can you talk a bit about some of the things that you have seen in the skill sets that companies are looking at, both for technical on the development side, as well as like maybe on the non-development side, marketing and design? What are some of the skills that you see are quite common across the different roles?
Okay, so let me give a very quick broad overview in terms of the type of clients we work with as well, and then I'll dive into the type of skill sets most of them are looking for. We work with a wide range of companies in the crypto space. A few of them are exchanges. We also work a lot with blockchain, as well as Web3 companies. They could be building DeFi or GameFi NFT kind of platform. So these are the type of companies we work with. Over the course of the past year or so, I think the skill set that we generally see in the market is Solidity. A lot of clients require Solidity skill sets a lot more than Rust. And in terms of React, in terms of front end, React is also one of the primary languages that we've seen in most of the JDs. Maybe Sharon can kind of add on or give a little bit more depth in terms of the actual technical skill sets.
Mm-hmm. Just to add on it, so I feel that Solidity is, I would say, the most common one and probably easiest to learn as compared to Rust. So I think Rust, there's a lot more that's into it. And then for Solidity, there's a lot more community. So you can get a lot more support in terms of community, where you can, for example, if you want to deploy a contract, or if you want to start out working on smart contracts, I feel that in terms of the Solidity part, you get a little bit more support from the community. So I think it is just easier to pick up, and we see a lot more clients looking into Solidity as well because there's more EVM compatible network. Yeah.
What about some of the non-technical skills that you have seen? Is there anything that sticks out to you? Like, what kind of skills like the designers are looking for, or marketing? Is there anything that sticks out in your mind?
Are we referring to like other type of roles or more engineering positions?
the other kind of roles, the non-technical marketing, design, maybe BD. What are some of the skill sets also?
Okay, so maybe I'll start from marketing. I can then move on to product and design. So I think marketing skill sets, it differs from companies to companies. For Web2, and what I mean by Web2 is like internet companies, the likes of, for example, Grab in Singapore, or Alibaba, Lazada in China. These are Web2 internet companies. For marketing roles, I think generally what we find that our clients are quite open to candidates that work in high growth tech internet companies. So these skill sets are quite transferable. But for Web3 clients, Web3 meaning into the metaverse, or they could be building a GameFi project. These companies are building their product on the blockchain. The skill sets for marketing differs a little bit more. I think we do see a lot more demand for candidates who has very good experience in some social media platform like the likes of Twitter, Discord, where generally most Web3 candidates used to grow the user base. So marketing roles, again, it differs, but generally, Web2 candidates are still quite sought after for crypto exchanges. So back to design and product, I think also very similar to marketing for crypto exchanges, product and design generally sourced from fintech companies or internet e-commerce companies, any of the tech companies itself. But for Web3, although the functional skill sets is still very relevant, but often they have an additional requirements, in terms of, require them to understand the Web3 ecosystem, all the different blockchains, how they interact with each other. So in short, I would say that Web3 companies are a little bit more demanding in terms of requirements as compared to Web2. And that's also the kind of skill set or talents that we find that has not keeping up to the demand of the industry at the moment.
Okay, thanks a lot. So let's go on to the second question. What kind of projects should one have in their portfolio? So like, for example, DeFi or NFT marketplace, and what kind of complexity level will demonstrate the competency that the companies are looking out for?
Okay, maybe I can take this one. So I would say maybe let's say for projects wise, right? I would say it really depends on which areas your interest lies and what you want to build, right? It can be DeFi, it can be NFTs, you want to do the marketplace. So it all boils down to the programming language, I would say. But of course, having the domain knowledge, like let's say DeFi, it'll be easier for you to, if you want to dive deeper into DeFi, that'll be like the easier way, right? But at the same time, it all boils down to the technology part. For example, like Solidity, or even like the Web3 JavaScript frameworks, for example, like Web3.js, Ethers.js. So yeah, so it really depends. But at the same time, there's going to be a lot of opportunities in the market right now, right? So you have clients, say for example, like the blockchain VCs or asset management firms, they're looking to build their trading systems. They're looking to build like multi-chain, decentralized exchanges, the NFT marketplaces. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities. So even if you are in DeFi, it's probably easy for you to move into like NFT space as well. So it really all boils down to what you are looking at, right? And then how about in terms of the complexity or what competency the clients are looking at, I think that will probably dive into the technical end. So I mean, probably that's not something that I can comment on. But I think one thing I would say, it would be good for developers. I mean, if you have the opportunity, right, to be in a full-time role where you can see through like the whole project until launch, like for example on testnet or on mainnet. Otherwise, you can also kind of build a portfolio on the freelance projects they can work on, say like on Upwork or wherever you can find in the community.
Yeah, just to add on to Sharon's point, I think how you could demonstrate this skill set doesn't have to be in your professional experience. What we notice is that a lot of our clients are interested in candidates who could demonstrate these sort of skill sets through their side projects. Some call it their night shift, so they could be doing a daytime. They could be in their traditional job, and then nighttime they could be like really studying the crypto, the Web3, the DeFi space. And some of these candidates actually come out quite strongly during interview as well, and client notice their dedication and passion. So these sort of projects experience, what I would encourage everyone to do is that if it's not something that you have done on a professional capacity, then I would encourage you to highlight them as part of your interest, or as part of some side projects that you've done in your CV, to make yourself stand out and also make yourself come across as already familiar or already dabble into this industry.
Okay, yeah, thanks a lot, both of you. So I think this third question is a bit similar. Is what kind of roles are there for fresh grads with side projects involving dApps also? So like, let's say they study computer science, but they have some side projects related to that. So what kind of roles do you see available for these kind of fresh grads?
Okay, so I think it's the same, like let's say fresh grads, or even those Web2 developers looking to move into Web3, or even those maybe like non-developers trying to do a mid-career switch. I think we see a lot of people like this. Web3 is still pretty new to a lot of people, so we see a lot of all these like Web2 developers, fresh grads, looking to move into smart contract development because they've heard a lot from like their friends, or even if they dabble into NFT, they do their own flipping and stuff. So they read a lot on this, so they want to get into it on the professional level as well. So I think one of the main things that they can explore, or even maybe get noticed by clients, is that, for example, if they have built any NFTs, or if they have tried on like building some ERC20 tokens, for example, like the basic ones, do indicate them on the CV, especially. So at least the clients will have a better view on what kind of projects you have done, and then they can assess you from that. And if you have a GitHub, then that will be even better.
Yeah. So I did have one client. It is a global VC, crypto native VC itself. They were open to looking at fresh grads. To them, it doesn't really matter the actual experience, but if someone is technically strong and they can demonstrate that, they could probably get the job. So I would say, encouragement for all fresh grad, if you are very passionate in entering into this space, I think, put in your hard work, dedication. If you are a programmer or developer, GitHub is the best way to showcase your skill set. I also had one client. He was the head of engineering for a very popular blockchain company. Back then, when I was sourcing for him, what he told me was, "Hey, Kristen, I don't need a CV. I just need a link to their GitHub, or just any link to their projects, because all he wanted to is just to assess their technical skill sets, and is really there's no discrimination in terms of age or experience. If someone who is technically strong, I think you could definitely earn yourself a job in this space."
Yeah.
It sounds like go on, Sharon.
Just to add on that, just to give an example, right? For example, like we have one candidate recently. She's a doctor by profession, right? So she has spent maybe like 10, 12 years as a doctor already, but on the side, she has some interest in terms of coding. So like at night when she's done with her doctor like work, and then also on the weekends, we just do a bit of learning. For example, she start with cryptozombies.io. I think that's like a most popular website for people to start with. And then also she kind of start working on like the different tokens, NFTs, as well as building her own game. So we actually found her online, and then now she's actually will be starting with a GameFi company in 2 weeks. So it's actually very possible, right? So it's kind of like a mid-career switch for her from a doctor to a blockchain developer. But if you put your work out there, you're confident about what you can put forward on the table for this client. So I'm sure that you will be able to find something that you enjoy. Yeah.
Well, that sounds very interesting. So actually, it's quite egalitarian. Your formal certifications are not as important as like what kind of work in your portfolio that you have done before you can do it in your spare time and just try to build up that way.
Yeah, interestingly, yes. But of course, you start from like an entry level and you build your way up. But if you already have the computer science background or like a web developer background, that will be much easier for you to pick up. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Sharon. So the next question is like, what kind of companies are hiring? So you mentioned some of these exchanges earlier. Besides the exchanges, what kinds of other companies have you seen that are hiring?
Yeah, so this year, I think one of the hottest area is GameFi companies. We've seen a lot of GameFi companies looking to build the teams from scratch. So that's one hot area. I think last year was primarily in NFTs and a lot of DeFi projects out there. So I think roles, besides the crypto exchanges, roles in Web3 is definitely gaining momentum. In fact, it's not just in Singapore or Asia, it's really global. I think Web3 opportunities, they truly embrace the spirit of decentralization. We have clients that we work with would hire anyone, anywhere. So yeah, this sort of companies are hiring. So for the exchanges, I guess most of you will be familiar with the names in the industry. Binance being the biggest exchanges, then there's OKX, there's Bybit, and then there's Gemini, there's Coinbase, there's Kraken. All these companies are hiring. So in short, everyone is hiring.
Yes.
Okay, great. So next question. So I if you have an irrelevant, okay, I think this one is a bit covered by the previous answer. So if you have an irrelevant degree, what are the skills needed to get into the Web3 industry? So I think like to some extent we already covered this earlier. If you can show that the portfolio of your work that can show the skills that you have for depending on the role. So, but do you have anything else to add to that, Kristen and Sharon? Like, if your degree is irrelevant, what are the skills needed to get into Web3? So I think you already said earlier, GitHub, if you can display your work. Anything else that comes to your mind?
Yeah. So like design people, they usually have their own website. I think that's a very good way to showcase the work as well. So just anything at all. And LinkedIn might be a good way for people to reach out to you. If you don't have a LinkedIn account, I would strongly encourage you to create one. And also just put in your headline saying that you're looking for jobs in Web3 or jobs in crypto. This could be some of the basics that anyone can do to try to get a job in crypto and Web3.
Correct. And I think just to add on LinkedIn, do include as many keywords as possible. So like blockchain, EVM, Ethereum, metaverse, whatever you can think of, because those are keywords that recruiters actually search for. So the chances that your profile will pop up will be higher if you have more keywords. Yeah.
And I think lastly, which is through us, both of us. So if any one of you, you have the right skill sets, not sure how to get in, please reach out to Sharon or I. We are more than happy to get in touch and discuss about your experience, your profile, and how we can find you a job as well.
Okay, great. So one next question. So when a student applies for an internship, are you looking for any projects? So I guess this is in the context like he's still a student and then he's looking for internships. Maybe they don't have that many projects. So what are you looking out for the internship kind of roles?
Say for internships, right? I would say out of the companies that we usually hire for, I would say probably the GameFi right now would be looking for interns, because GameFi is still very new in the market right now. I think a lot of companies are starting only this year. So they are only just building their team. So they would be very willing to take in people who, say, for example, are game developers who has interest in blockchain, for example, or even like a fresh grad or those who are still studying who want to take up an internship where you have interest in this area. So they are able to groom you. Or, I mean, also if you have portfolio, like a portfolio that can showcase some of the projects that you've done. Maybe not with clients, but just things that you built on your own. I think that would be kind of like a plus, like an advantage, because that's something that the client will be able to review. Yeah.
And also, I think as Singapore is looking to, I think more and more companies are looking to engage with the university here in Singapore in terms of building tech talent pools here in Singapore. We did see, I mean, not just crypto, but tech in general. A lot of companies are setting up their headquarters here in Singapore. So tech talents are very much in demand. Tech, I'm referring to not just engineering, but also product, engineering and product in general. These are really in-demand positions. We're also seeing some companies having fresh grad programs. So perhaps, look up for fresh grad programs as well with some of these companies that you are looking to join. I guess, having some relevant experience is better than none. So as long as if there's something that looks good comes along, do reach out to them and get your foot in. For engineering candidates, I think what I've seen so far is also, you might not necessarily build a smart contract from day one, but if you are very strong in C++, Java, C# kind of skill set, those could be the roles that you should be open to explore first and slowly build up your experience, expertise in the smart contract side. So I guess the encouragement is to just get your foot in and learn about this world.
Okay, yeah, thanks a lot both for you. So there's actually quite a few opportunities for internships, like new grad programs and like GameFi companies also. And they have these internships like for those mid-career people and fresh grads. So it's growing quite fast and they are open to interns also. And I guess actually if you're passionate about games, you will maybe you'll try your own like small games or mods. So I think that's one way to display the projects also for games. So okay, this question I'm not sure if it's too technical. If it's too technical, then feel free to just say it. Okay, so this candidate asks, what kind of technical questions will there be in the interview process? Is it similar to Web 2 interviews, like with the kind of technical questions, or are there like different kinds of technical questions? Is it too technical? Like because you are the first phase, usually you pass on to the actual like the hiring manager. So I don't know if it's too technical on your end to answer. But if it is, then feel free to say it is.
Okay, so I think in terms of technical questions, right, I would say for the first level or say like the second round of interviews, usually they'll put them through a technical test, right? So they ask them to develop like a basic smart contract or some of the repos, for example. So it's more on the technical test, and after that they'll kind of review it together with the candidate and kind of guide them through like, oh, why do you code it this way? Maybe you should do it this way moving forward, etc. So I think more on the technical test, but I think in terms of technical questions that I'm probably not too sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there's the two parts to an interview. No matter how technical you are, at the end of the day, people are looking for a team player, someone who can work well in a team. So there's definitely behavioral questions as well that any interviewer will ask. So one best way to kind of pitch to kind of like showcase your skill set is, besides the technical part, which will be taken care by a case study or an assignment given by the companies. But on the face-to-face interview, often hiring managers will be asking about projects, your involvement in those projects. It's very important that anyone should be able to articulate very well the projects that they have take on, especially the large-scale, big projects itself is complicated. The more complex the project, obviously, the more challenge there will be. So do share about the challenges that you face and how do you actually overcome it. Because at the end of the day, most people are looking for a problem solver as well. You need to demonstrate that you could help the companies to solve problems, and you doesn't back down by challenges. So these are all the soft skills. I guess regardless of technical, not technical positions, are always being assessed during interview.
Okay, got it. So it sounds like actually, okay, like first of all, from Sharon's side, some of the questions will overlap, like with Web2 interviews. Like they also ask like there'll be the take-home test or like some kind of assessment. Then after that, they ask you the questions. Then from Kristen's side, actually you can showcase your technical skills. They'll ask you during the course of interview, and then some of your projects also will like showcase your skills. So all of that is important for the specific role that you're hiring for. But the general part, like I guess some of you also need to go through some of the algorithm kind of questions that are common to Web2, depending on the role. So that will overlap with Web2. That's the impression that I have from your answers.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. Yeah, thanks a lot, both of you. So I think now, for now, we will end off with these questions later on the final Q&A section at the end. But for now, let's go on to the CV review section. So I'm going to share my screen, and both of them as recruiters, they'll just go through the CVs and then just give us their impressions of each CV that they find, just the first impression. Because usually as the HR or recruiter, they'll be the first people who read your CVs when you apply to a job. And then it's a very good way to know like what kind of things to watch out for when you're writing your CV, what sticks out, what are the words that stick out in your mind, how is it formatted. So I think this is a very useful thing for us to learn. So we have quite a few submissions ready before this live stream. If you're still interested, you can still submit in the YouTube chat over on the right side of the screen. So if you can send in like a link, we can try to review that during this session as well if we have time. But for the time being, actually, we have quite a lot. So I'm going to share my screen. So can you see my screen right now?
Yep.
So okay, this candidate is anonymous. So you can see that this is her tagline, a computer science student, and she has done some dApps in her portfolio. She tried to put into this CV. So Sharon and Kristen, can you let us know your impression?
Can you scroll down a little bit? Okay, gotcha. Okay, I think, okay, so for example, right, because she listed her projects at the top, which is good because it that's the first thing that you see when you look at a CV, right? So if she's going to apply for like a Web3 company, that's what the client or recruiters will see first. Right, but I think something to add is that it is very vague. It's just that, okay, like a DAO, you deploy a token, etc. But if you can add a bit more details, maybe like what is your involvement, whether it was, say, like deployed on testnet or mainnet, or what kind of blockchain, for example, I think that would be very helpful. Yeah, so that would be what I see from the first, the first look.
Yep. So same with Sharon. This is someone that we will pick up the phone and call. Very good in the sense that she showcased the portfolio at the top, not at the bottom. So where you position this information is also very crucial. I think she or he also listed out all the programming languages. So let's say if we have clients looking for these languages, we will be more than open to speak to this person. Perhaps I think whether we should be a good fit for the role is only assessed during the call, but the good news is that this candidate will make through at least our screening to have a call.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's like a mid-career, not say mid-career, I mean, she's probably a couple of years in, but it is still a good time to switch. And now that she already have projects, so it gives her a slight upper hand to kind of showcase what she has done to the clients.
Okay, thanks. So, I'm on this candidate is on Telegram. She's chatting with me. So anyway, she actually said like Okay, now she didn't reply yet, but she said she can share her GitHub.
Yeah, that would be very helpful.
That would be good. So, I mean, one thing to add as well, I think because for Sharon and myself, we work for an agency. We generally work with a variety of clients. So usually recruiters like us, we are quite open-minded to speak to candidates because we could then generate some job opportunities for them. But if she's applying to a specific role at a specific company and if she doesn't meet the skill sets based on what her CV has listed, then probably she will not get shortlisted. So I think just like what Sharon said, if she could provide a bit more details about the project that she has done, that would make her profile even stronger.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So her question is, once you read this, will you be interested in clicking into her GitHub to see a bit? So yeah, whether it's you or like it's the hiring manager. So like based on here, you can see the portfolio, like a short portfolio over here, but she'll put the GitHub link. Then will they at least want to click on the GitHub? That's her question.
Yes. Answer is yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
but what we see and what the hiring manager sees is different. So we will see how much contribution she make on GitHub. But I guess the hiring manager, the technical experts could see a little bit more things than we do. But if the GitHub is quite empty, not much contribution, then having a link there is also not really useful. Okay, got it. Yeah, thanks a lot. So I hope you heard that. Then we'll move on to the next some of the other CVs. So okay, this person, so he's not anonymous. He has his name over here. He's So I'll just scroll through a bit, and you just feel free to chime in what your impression is. So like my impression is just like his background is mainly in C++ robotics. It doesn't really mention about any Web3 blockchain experience.
Yeah, but I don't see any Web3 as well. So I think it'll be good if you can add something to it in terms of maybe just like a short write-up about like your knowledge on Web3 or whether you're keen in Web3. So at least it stands out a little bit more. But I think looking at the current CV right now, probably not very interested. But just to help him get more, I would say, traction with these clients, I think it'd be good to add something, or even just link the GitHub, or he can probably start with some of his own projects first. So at least it'll be better for these clients, I feel. Kristen?
Yeah, so I think it's not enough information to make a very clear call. But I suspect candidate is still studying at the moment because his job title stated volunteer software developer. So if he's still studying and coding, that's good. What I would suggest is that instead of putting a big paragraph, maybe highlight all the key projects in bullet points, because usually as a recruiter, we look at a lot of CVs per day. We don't really have time to go through the whole paragraph. So if he's looking for a specific job, just as an example, if he's looking for a role that requires C++ and Python development, then in the experience part, I would highlight the projects that require C++ and Python as an example, and then just apply for a job specifically to that area. One thing I find that a lot of candidates does is that they try to showcase all the skill sets that they have, but it's quite hard to, for us, it's quite hard to pinpoint what are they good at, right? So if you know what you want and what you go after, just, focus on a few key points as your strength, and the rest you could supplement under the skill section as your other technical skills. So this is what I would suggest. At least you do get even you don't get a call, that's fine, but you do get a call from the right companies.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. So let's go on to the next one. Okay, so this person is she's a non-technical, her background is non-technical, and then she's interested in potentially like marketing related roles. So I think she's still a student.
Okay. So marketing candidates, it'd be good if you if they have a portfolio, because I think marketing design especially, often clients will ask for their portfolio because that's a good way to showcase their talents as well as the projects that they've undertaken. So if she comes from a good school, has relevant degree, I don't think she has any issue getting a relevant marketing role as a fresh grad. But if she wants to move into Web3 specifically, then this profile might not have highlighted anything in that aspects.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's very important to display the portfolio, especially for actually for both development and marketing. Like the portfolio is very important. I think that's a common theme that we are hearing today. So okay, this one is another role. So this person, he says he's a senior software engineer right now at Agoda. So this one, like my impression is like he has quite a lot of experience in traditional Web2 industries. He built quite complex systems, and then he led the team before. But there's also nothing much about blockchain, like really actually nothing at all about blockchain development. So that's my impression. And then the way he's formatted also is like there's a lot of white space in between, so it's very troublesome to scroll through everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just to point out the good point about the CV as well. I think what he did that's quite nice is under every job experience, he did highlight the technical skills that he uses at Agoda and then the previous jobs and so on. So that's a good one. But I do agree, with Alvin, in the sense that if you want to join Web3, really just have to demonstrate a little bit more experience in the area, because Web3 very well paid as well at the moment, given the scarcity of talents. It's a very nascent industry, so not many people has the talents, has the right skill sets, but the one that does, they can fetch very good salaries as well in this industry. So I'm with you, Alvin, right on point there.
Yeah. Okay, just add on it, right? I think profiles like this who are very strong in Web2 development, I think it will probably be easy for them to maneuver into like the crypto or even the blockchain space potentially, because say, for example, the crypto exchanges, like we do see increasingly people like they are actually building their Web3 teams in Singapore or even just all over the world, right? So they actually have a specific team for that. And if you have, say, strong back-end or front-end development experience, and then you can do kind of like a hybrid role whereby you have a foot into blockchain and then you can kind of build from there. So I think that would be an easier way out to kind of tap on the Web3 internally in the company. And then if you feel that there's going to be a lot of traction there, then you can potentially move into like a more Web3 company or a more Web3 role moving forward. Yeah, but it's a good start.
I see. Yeah, because a lot of these exchanges, actually their back end still is actually it can be quite complex Web2 style development. Whether it's Java or like this person use Scala, whatever their back end is, it's still usually written in like Web2. And then like the solidity might not be the main feature of the exchange platform. So like for such people with like a lot of experience in Java, Scala, they can actually join such roles and then build out their experience. And then in the future, if they want to join a more Web3 role, they can pivot over to that. So that's basically your point.
Yeah, that'll be an easier way rather than just jumping right into Web3. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. So let's look at next one. Okay, my impression of this one is like he actually put his oldest experience on top and then the latest experience below. So that's a bit like not very counterintuitive for most people. So but his experience actually is quite relevant for exchanges maybe because like he does have worked with like securities before, and some of these it's kind of similar to the previous candidate, but the way that he laid out is a bit counterintuitive. So it's a bit harder to read. That's my impression right now.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And I think I do see quite a few profiles, right? Usually they will split up the dates together and their project. So I think it would be better if you can list like the date, the company and the role, and then you have description of the project, and then you move on to the next one rather than just putting all the dates together and then you have the project. So the clients have to go back and forth to kind of see which company and stuff like that. So it will be slightly counterintuitive. So I think that's just like a tip that would be easier for clients to refer to. And to add on, like he does include like the software environment as well as the language that he uses. So for each position, so I think that's good. Yeah.
Okay, let's go on to the next one. Okay, so this one, my impression is like the layout is a bit more like those recommended layouts because like there's a summary, then he puts his like what Sharon just said earlier, like you put the date together with your position and each company. Yep. So it's clearer to see what your experience is exactly and what's the dates, and it's the most recent on top to the least recent below. But in general, so this person is also a bit similar to the previous few. He has quite a lot of experience in Web2 development, in PHP and Python, but no particular blockchain focus.
Yep, that's right. But layout of the CV is good.
So I'm just curious because so this is not on any specific CVs, but how often do you see like those CVs which are not very well laid out, like the one previously with the dates bunched together, then the companies listed separately? Like how common is that? And is that like one easy low-hanging fruit that you recommend to a lot of these candidates if they can fix that and help them? What are some of these like low-hanging fruits?
Tips, is it?
Yeah. If there's any kind of common, like just a layout or format that if they can fix, it will help them a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Kristen.
So, experience, education, technical skills are definitely a must for any engineers. So I mean, we have seen different formats, whether education first and experience, or experience first and education. The only thing I would like to elaborate on education is perhaps, don't elaborate too much on extracurricular activities if you have been in a job for like 8 years or 10 years already. So the objective of a CV is to really catch the attention of the person reading it. So I think the formatting, I'm quite particular on this myself. So the formatting, the font, sizes, the spacing, and all this thing, it will make the CV whether it's pleasant to read or not. So in terms of experience-wise, just like what we discussed earlier, don't jump out the project experience and the job experience. What we like to see, or what most people could kind of tell whether the profile suits or not, is when they look at their actual experience and then what are the projects that the person has undertaken in that particular role. So the previous profile, the format is quite standard and easy to read. But yeah, if you really want to stand out, then I guess instead of writing stuff that you work as a lead developer, managing certain projects, maybe highlight the kind of projects, the achievements as well. What does it bring to the company? And for candidates, maybe in data analytics, maybe they have to streamline certain processes that save save a lot of time of the company. Things like this. These are the achievements that often we don't find being elaborated enough on CV. And surprisingly, when we speak to the candidate, they could share about all this experience a little bit more. So one way is the format of the CV. Second, relevant skills. You might not necessarily need to highlight every single skills, but highlight the most relevant skills that you have for the job that you want to apply to. Sometimes I also encourage candidates has different version of the CV, because some people might not be a specialist. They might have a very broad role and they could apply for different type of positions. So in cases like this, you might want to consider having different type of CVs for different type of position. Not saying that you need to, not provide the right information, but you just want to highlight the right skills for the right job. So yeah, so those are some tips, like some housekeeping stuff that anyone can do to make their CV looks a lot more presentable.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense. Like actually what you mentioned earlier. So like for example, all of these, like just listing it down in bullet points, and then like listing actually the accomplishment, what are the results measured. That will be a lot clearer for the recruiter and the hiring manager to actually see, okay, at this role, you work on React.js, but what's the output? Like you created a site that has how many connections a day or something like that. It doesn't have to be exactly that, but something like that, like bullet point, that will be a lot clearer for people to see.
Yeah. And for marketing people, it could be like they have implemented a marketing plan that increase more than 100,000 daily active user, for example, and that will be an achievement. And increasingly, we are seeing a little bit more of requirements like this on JDs as well. So do highlight your achievement. I think if there's a lot of candidates, those achievements will definitely make you stand out when you apply for a job. Okay,
so I think let's go for one more, then we can have the final Q&A section. So, okay, this person, yeah, so I just now I actually browsed through briefly. I think this one, again, like he has the chronological order is, this is like counterintuitive, but his background is actually quite interesting. He qualified in law, but he also worked as a trader in cryptocurrency trading, as well as project manager.
Yeah. So I saw a spelling mistake there. So I think, proofread your CV. That's under February, the last one before certificate. Develop layer 1 blockchain. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think definitely proofread your CV, ensure there's no spelling mistake, because that's the kind of impression as well that you're gonna leave to anyone who reviews your CV.
Yeah, I think also just to add, it would be good to highlight, like, depending on what kind of roles that you're applying for, it's good to highlight things that you think that you want to highlight to the clients. So I think just on first look, it just feels that, oh, you have worked on a lot of things. But my question is, so what do you want to do now? Right. So I think just on the CV, I don't know what you want to work on. I might pick up the phone and have a chat with you. But for clients where they have to go through, like, say, 100 CVs, they might just skip your profile, so you are missing out on the chance. So it'd be good to kind of highlight something to kind of depends on what you're looking at, of course.
Yeah, because this person, his background is quite diverse. He studied law, but he also did trading. Then now he says he also has done like Solidity.
Correct.
So it's very diverse. Like I think it's quite interesting, but then you don't know what exactly he wants to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's the final CV. Actually, we have a lot to go over, so I don't think we have time to go over all of them. We'll just I will forward it over to both Sharon and Kristen, and they can take a look. But for now, we will go back to the Q&A. If people have any, I actually saw quite a lot of questions, so I will go through some of them for these final 9 minutes of the call. So let's go over some of the questions. Is it recommended to put your profile pic in your resume?
Instead of putting a profile pic, maybe put a LinkedIn link. Yeah. We don't see a lot of profile pics nowadays. It's good, always good. But we still see some very professional CVs with profile pictures. So just make sure that the profile pic looks professional, I would say. But I think majority, say 91%, CVs doesn't have a profile pic nowadays.
Okay.
But most have a LinkedIn. Most have a link to their LinkedIn because then they can put their profile picture over there.
I heard some countries actually it's illegal to put the profile picture in the CV. Really?
I'm not really sure about that.
In that case, you can put your NFT. I'm just kidding. Moving on.
Okay. So, can you tell us a bit about the salary range of different roles in blockchain? Like blockchain developers, is it higher than Web2 salaries that you have seen?
Definitely slightly higher. But because it's gonna be global, right? So it's very hard because it's really gonna differ in terms of the range wise. So it really highly depend on what kind of projects you've worked on in terms of seniority wise, how you can potentially fit within the team, and also for all these Web3 companies, there's a lot of factors. So of course you have your base, which they will pay out in USDT, for example, and then they're gonna have tokens, etc. So it's gonna be a lot in it. So it's very hard to give a number. Yeah.
So what I've seen is a very wide range when it comes to salaries for talents in Web3. There's no standard range, to put it simply. Number one, because the industry is really, really new. It's very nascent. There's not a lot of talents, and then there's not a lot of positions there to really have an industry benchmark when it comes to pay. But what we've seen so far is for a really good talent, they can get crazy high salaries. I think there was one article I saw just the other day that it pays up to 750,000 USD, for example. But that's probably like an engineering lead or so. But you do have roles that are paid, really cheap as well. So it really depends on the skill sets. For someone that's really talented, that's why we did mention quite a few times to highlight the achievements, the project, the more complex and interesting the project is, the more contribution they bring to the company. Obviously, their salaries will kind of reflect that as well. So there's kind of no standard range, but someone who's really good can be paid really well, and someone who's not really good, then they will still be paid really averagely. So so that's what we've seen so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for this 750K one, what do you remember what role it was exactly? So it's like a technical lead or something?
Yeah, I can't remember the full details, but it was like a technical lead. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Definitely someone who has, it's definitely a Web3 role, engineering position.
Okay, I see. So let's go on to the next question. So like now there are a lot of decentralized organizations, the DAOs. Have you seen some of these DAOs, like they're hiring also like through a recruiter? Like have you worked with any DAOs or other kind of like decentralized organizations? And how does it work?
Yeah, we work with a few. So I think we are lucky to be referred to a few DAOs to work with. A lot of the DAOs that we work with will refer to our own clients directly. So we have seen different models, but in general, most adapt either a globally decentralized framework or a time zone decentralized framework. What I mean by the second one is that, say, if most of the employees are based in Asia, even though they could hire anywhere, they prefer someone working closer to the Asian time zone, for example. And if the majority of the engineering team is based in Europe, then they are still open to hire anywhere, but they prefer someone who could work the Europe time zone. So I think that is much easier in terms of collaboration. So yes, they do embrace the spirit of decentralization, and they could hire anywhere. Some don't mind globally, but some prefer time zone. Time zone kind of hiring model. Mm-hmm. How about you, Sharon? What have you seen?
Yeah, I think it is really similar. I think it will be, if you're operating on the same time zone, it'd be easier for especially like developers to kind of collaborate with each other, or at least have like maybe like 2-3 hours of a day that you can kind of overlap to this, just to do the discussion, and then the rest of the day you can just work remotely. I mean, this is just something that we see. Yeah.
So can you tell us a bit also about the kind of DAOs that are hiring? Is it also like game related or DeFi? Is there any like general segments that you can divide them, or it's also like actually all across different kinds of companies or different kinds of DAOs?
So I think broadly speaking, we can dive into DeFi and GameFi, these two categories. So most of the projects we work with were either DEX, meaning decentralized exchanges, DeFi, or GameFi. So these are the two types of DAOs that we've been working so far, and also hiring lots of positions too.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's all for tonight. We're also almost at the end of our time. So yeah, I want to once again thanks a lot to both of you, Kristen and Sharon, for sharing today and going through all the different CVs. So I think like we learned quite a lot about how hiring in this industry is done. I hope our audience members as well, you took away something from this AMA. So, and like for the time being, if there are still any new submissions, you can submit the CV through the Google form, and then you can claim the NFT later on. And we'll submit your CVs over to Grid Search as well, and you'll see if there are any like suitable roles for you. And of course, like in the meantime, we actually are doing our NFT hackathon. So if you're interested, if you're a developer and you're interested in like creating a project for your portfolio, why don't you do a project and you submit for a hackathon and you can stand a chance to win a prize. So I think that's a great opportunity to build out your portfolio and potentially win some money. Like there's no strings attached. If you win, the money is yours. You don't have to like give away any tokens or anything. So it's a win-win. And yeah, so once again, like thanks a lot to Grid Search for joining us today. And you can connect with Grid Search on Twitter. The link is in the YouTube description. Sharon, Kristen, do you have any other what was the best way to reach out to you besides the Twitter account?
Yeah, so I mean, can reach us on LinkedIn as well, LinkedIn or Twitter. Do follow our research page. whether it's on LinkedIn, on Twitter. I think we constantly post a lot of job updates over there as well. Follow myself and also Sharon on some of the pages. Can we kind of post it on the YouTube page as well for some of the useful links to share with our audiences?
Yeah, sure. You post in our Telegram chat and I'll update in the YouTube description also.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, so we are very sociable. Reach out to us. We more than happy and to help whenever we could. And also and thanks a lot to Alvin and Moledao for organizing this AMA. I think Moledao is very much focusing on blockchain education, and Alvin has definitely set up a really good session for us and all the job seekers out there to understand what employers are looking for in blockchain, in Web3 or NFT specific areas. So thanks a lot, Alvin and Moledao.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Alvin. So I think just to end off, I would say there's got to be a lot of opportunities within Web3. It really depends on how you position yourself and look for all these opportunities. Yeah.
Thanks once again, Sharon and Kristen, for your time. And to everyone else, so good night, good morning, wherever you are, and thanks for joining us today. So the recording is live on YouTube. Maybe you're not watching this live, but yeah, you can access all the links below. And hope to see you again on our next workshop. Okay, bye everyone.
Thank you.